Hello, and welcome to Ignite Your Personal Brand Virtual Summit. I'm your host, Darlene Hawley, and I'm so excited to kick off 2019 with these powerful stories and trainings to help you create an authentic, magnetizing, profitable brand and business. In this series, I'm interviewing amazing women who will be sharing their story for why they started their journey into entrepreneurship, and they're sharing their top tips to make an impact on your bottom line to create a thriving business in 2019. And I am so excited for today's guests. Thank you guys for listening in. I have Heather J. Keys, who is amazing when it comes to brand photography and making sure that your brand is on point, whether it's on your social media platforms, on your website, all the places. So please help me welcome Heather.
Hey,
Hi, Heather.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad to have you here. Thanks for being part of the summit with us. I know you have such amazing knowledge when it comes to branding yourself and as a photographer with how to get the right pictures to make sure that your presence is exactly how you want to show up online. I know it's hard sometimes in the online space to kind of be your true self while you're in that online present space. So I'm excited today to kind of dive in and talk a little bit about how we can do that.
Absolutely, yeah. And putting yourself out there. I mean, I think the number one thing that I hear from men and women is just even putting it out. Putting our face out there, putting our brand out there for everybody to see, and having that transparency. I know we did your headshots, which were so much fun, and we had a great time with it. But I know prior to it, you were nervous. And so I want to definitely talk about how we can get rid of and shake off some of those nerves and really put out our true colors out there for everybody to see.
Yeah. Well, before we get started, tell us a little bit about who you are. Who are you, Heather? Tell us.
I'm the girl that wears so many hats. So I am a photographer. I've been a photographer for over 15 years. It's a long time. Sometimes I step back and I'm like, wow, am I that old? I am that old. It's fine. I started out at studios. So I was working for portrait studios at a very tender age of 15 years old. I shot my first wedding when I was 17. I switched over to corporate world. So I actually worked in marketing and PR for many years. And then I got the bug again. I got that photography bug back into my system. I was shooting portraits and weddings. So now I still do some portraits, but I mainly focus on wedding photography, as well as brand photography for small entrepreneurs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so yeah. And then I still do marketing. So I do that as well.
What was it about like the photography industry that like really pulled you in? Like you were 15 years old. Like what was it at 15 like that you knew this is the route that you wanted to go and how you wanted to do things?
Actually be a part of it. So photography runs in my family, from my grandfather to my dad to my grandma. Everyone has been super into photography, and so was I. So my grandfather did a lot of photojournalism, and any camera that he had, I would typically get when he got a new one. So that's really what started that bug. And again, that was back in the film days. So I'd have to do a lot of chores to get film and to go buy film and to be able to develop it. I think I got the bug for weddings sort of randomly. I had a friend who was shooting weddings. It was a little bit older than me. We had worked in portraits together, portrait studios before, and randomly shot a wedding by myself at the age of 17. And that's kind of where it just sticks. You're like, all right, I guess I could do this.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, because it's such a fun industry too. Like I can only imagine like once you did that very first wedding, like I just love personally going to weddings, like that feel and that excitement and like that new love and taking those pictures.
Yeah,
like you take so many different pictures that show different sides of them. So I can imagine that would pull you in.
And that's really where I take brand photography to now, is more on a personal level. There have been, I think, a bit of a shift in how we approach brand photography, especially nowadays. Everything's on Instagram, everything's on Facebook, everything's social. It's kind of like right in your face. And I try to remind my clients, so I not only help with their brand photography, I also help with their marketing side of it too. So what I really try to do is remind them that they need to make that personal connection. So in your brand photography, it's, for me, the most important to make sure that my clients are representing who they are and who, what their products are doing and who they're helping.
Yeah, because they want to show up as authentically as much as possible as their true self online. So what are some things that you do with your clients? Like when they come to you and they're ready to have a brand photo shoot, maybe they're just starting a business or they're just ready for new photos. What are some of the ways that you, like, do you ask them special questions to make sure that they're online to find out what it is that they want to do and how they want to show up in that space?
Yeah, and sometimes people come to me, they have a whole plan, and they've already been doing this for years, and their brand voice is on point, that's already set in stone. They've got their colors, they've got absolutely everything, you know, ready and dialed in. I'm just showing up and we're shooting. Then I have other clients that are like, okay, this is my first session. Haven't been in front of a camera since high school. Photos. Somebody get me some photos. So really, it just depends on kind of what stage they're in. For instance, I'll go through and say, okay, let's, you know, even, and I'll take you in, for instance. So we chatted about like what you were going to wear, what your colors represent, who you are, where your business is going, right? So I really want to take them from thinking a little bit bigger than we're just doing headshots to what are we trying to tell our viewers. So for them, what are they trying to show? Are they trying to show that they're a mom who is also an entrepreneur? Are they trying to show that they've been in business brand new or that they've been in business for years? And then what are things that they love? Because in reality, how do we connect with people? We connect with people because we say, oh, wait, that person likes coffee. I like coffee. Oh, that person's a wine drinker. I'm a wine drinker, right? So we find those things that actually what separate you from, I'm not a huge competition kind of person, but really what separates you from that competition that's out there. And you really have to dive in on what those things are. And some people might tell you like, I'm like no different than Susie down the street, but in reality we are. And sometimes taking that step back and writing down the things that really make us different or what make our products different is what's going to kind of like launch you forward. And that's really what you want to like focus on during your shoots is what are the things that make you different. So we'll go through first their products or what they're selling or who they are. Even if they are not selling a physical product, you're still selling something. So if you're in this world, we're out there pushing something, right? So we'll go through all of that. I sit down and we have a consultation that's about an hour and a half. And we go through things, you know, from top to bottom. What are your brand colors? What's your voice? What are we trying to sell? And I ask all the questions. I really want to, and another thing is I want to make that person my best friend because I feel like I can photograph you best if I know who you are and I know who you are as a person. And
I love that you really focus in on what's different about them, like, because that's something that I work with my clients. You have to stand out, like you said, like we're not all the same. We might have a lot of similarities, but there's different things about yourself that you can pop out and utilize to stand out a little bit different from somebody else. And the great thing about that is your audience is going to resonate and you're going to attract those people in because they resonate with the fact that there's something different about you than somebody else that they might have been watching or they've been to somebody else's website or following somebody else on social media. They're going to be like, wait a minute, there's something about her that just really connects at a different level with me. So I love that you really get to know your clients and find out exactly who they are, because when you just shared that you make them your friend, I know when we did our photo shoot, I think we took photos for maybe like an hour and a half, and then we sat at the coffee shop for legit like another 2 hours. It was, and we had a great, like we connected and interacted, and you took your time to get to know who I was so that those photos would be exactly what I was looking for at the same time. So I love that you really connect and draw in. And really setting yourself apart. So obviously I have a half a shaved head. I stand out now in the industry a bit more than maybe others. So as a wedding photographer here in Temecula Valley, we have a ton of amazing wedding photographers here. It is a beautiful location. We have tons of people that come in and do destination weddings. I am now known as the photographer with a half shaved head. I mean, I didn't think that was going to be like my thing, but sometimes you got to find what your differences are, right? I also have a half sleeve tattoo that's like a camera and the whole 9 yards. So again, finding what those differences are, finding out what really sets you apart, dive in on that. That's absolutely the key when you're doing, and I know you have amazing people that have come on the panel that talk about marketing. Listen to those, listen to what they're telling you, because really standing out and shining where your sweet spots are, and that's what I call them,
you know, find out where that sweet spot is, settle in, and blow it up.
Yeah, you can't be bland. You can't be vanilla ice cream. You have to be like mint chocolate chip or.
But I love vanilla ice cream. My favorite ice cream is vanilla ice cream. It says the girl with the
hot fudge on top.
Right, right, absolutely, absolutely.
So perfect. So I know you said that you have specific questions that you ask your clients when you're getting ready for a shoot. Is there certain questions that you feel like are important for like someone like myself or anybody else who's coming to you? Is there certain questions that you feel like no matter what photographer you're talking to, you need to ask to really make sure you're the right person?
Absolutely. Someone who lines up with your brand. You know, there are millions of photographers out there. I would never ever say that there wasn't, because there's tons.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere, and that's great. That's fabulous, because here's the thing. They're everywhere. That means you get to find the one that actually fits for you and for your brand. There is no cookie cutter photographer. So you may say, hey, these are the images that I want my stuff to look like this. I'll never be able to do that because I'm not a cookie cutter photographer. So you may say, hey, Heather, I want my brand shoot to kind of look like this other brand. That's cool. We're going to pull off some of those things, but then we're really going to dive around and make it you. So I think being able to find a photographer who can, one, think outside the box for your brand is absolutely huge. Like for instance, with yours, we went to several different locations because I knew you were going to be using those photos for a lot of different things. So you need to make sure that the photographer that you're working with is going to be able to go to different locations with you. Doing in-studio headshots is great, but if you're not a real estate agent, you need some variety, kids. And even if you're a real estate agent, you need some variety. In fact, my last real estate agent that I photographed, we went into homes that she was selling. We took photos there. She was doing a lot of staging of photos and you know, houses and whatnot that she was showing. So we showed her in her environment. And that's really, you've got to have a photographer who's going to get into the environment with you. Because that's the only way you're actually going to show your clientele, your customers, what it's like to use your products, your brand, what it's like to be a part of you and your business. So being able to have, again, a photographer who thinks outside the box, who can meet up with you at multiple different locations. I also offer my clients the ability to have different shoots scheduled throughout the year, which is huge because I don't know, like you and me, I mean, my hair changes all the time. So like having the same photo for the next 6 years would be absolutely ridiculous. So what I did is I actually scheduled 2 to 3 sessions throughout the year for my clients. Either they've changed their products, maybe, you know, if it's a clothing company and they have new lines every season, or maybe you just want fresh images for your website, for social media. Being able to go with the seasons too, like we just had the holidays, and how many photos did you see of like Christmas trees and presents and people drinking coffee and people out at Christmas tree farms, right? That's what you want. You want to be able to connect with your clients right now. So if you're using images that were from summertime, look outside. It's not summertime. So unless it's summertime, put those away. And that's, I think, one of the biggest areas that I see just while scrolling social media. And that's, you know, whether I'm doing market research or whether I'm just having fun on Instagram. That's what I see. It's one big area that I see companies really having a hard time with is getting those up-to-date photos. Like I said, using images that are old, it's not going to resonate with your clientele.
And I love that you talked about. I love you mentioned too, like not using like photos from 6 years ago or whatnot, because I remember, and this I've known a friend of ours, a family friend who I've known forever. She's a realtor, and we've gotten Christmas cards every year for as long as I can remember. And she has the same glamour shot photo from probably 20 years ago. And
we love her. Give her my number.
You redid it. I always thought it was so funny because it wasn't even that it was a headshot; it was a glamour shot, and it was legit, like years old.
Love her. Love her. Where is she local?
No.
Dang it. Well, if you're not local, you can always come out here. Southern California is absolutely beautiful. So if y'all need like updated headshots or photos, please let me know. We're going to get rid of those glamour shots.
Yeah. No more glamour shots.
Another thing that resonates too, that I've noticed is really get away from the studio. And I say that with so much love because obviously I'm used to be a studio photographer. And that is not to cut down a studio photographer at all whatsoever. There is always a time and a need to have your photos done in a studio. So if you've got product shots that you need, obviously you're going to need to find someone who has the ability to take those product shots in a studio environment. I actually do that here. Like I have an area just off to the side that I can do all of any type of product photography. Obviously, you're not going to want to take a stick of lipstick and put it out in the middle of nowhere land, right? Unless that's where your brand is going. So if you need clean, seamless images, find somebody who's able to do studio shots for you. I'm also telling you, you don't need to use the same photographer for everything. Think about that.
Yeah.
Because a person who's absolutely amazing at product photography may not be absolutely amazing pulling out who you are in your images, right? Mm-hmm. Not all photographers can do everything either. And so I want to clearly state that not all photographers can do everything, because there's a lot of photographers out there, and this is not to knock on anybody at all, that want to take on everything. Just like Darlene, I know like you can't do everything in your life, right? You can't do everything, and we have to outsource where we need to outsource. And so like take that into consideration when you're looking for a photographer. If they're able to do one or two types of different shoots for you, that's fabulous. Ask them, hey, are you a product photographer? Let me see your portfolio, what you worked on. If they don't have it, but you love their style and you love their vibe and you think that they're going to give you amazing headshots, do it. Work with them for your headshots. Work with them for your social media feed. Do that. Then ask them, hey, do you have any referrals for products? Or start scrolling through some of these Instagram feeds and Facebook and find out who the photographers were on those, right?
Yeah.
So if you're seeing like these awesome product shots, go to that person and say, you've got amazing product shots. Who's your photographer who you're using? Ask.
Yeah. And it's so important. Like with my clients, we talk about identifying your niche and making sure you're extremely specific on what kind of client you are serving. And that doesn't mean that you can't serve other clients and help in other ways as well. Yeah, absolutely. But be known for something. Like when we talk about standing out, like be known for a specific niche in your industry, so that people come to you automatically and want to work with you, whether you're a wedding photographer or if you're doing studio portraits or like you said, like product brands. Like it's so important to know which audience you want to serve. Absolutely. And you can still do other stuff, but knowing like get known really, really well for one of those areas. Absolutely. So that people automatically to come to you for that specific area.
Yeah, and so people may be sitting here going like, well, Heather, you do wedding photography and brand. But here's the thing. My wedding photography is a little bit different. So I am a photojournalist through and through in my heart. And so when it comes to taking shots for weddings, it's more of a photojournalistic approach to weddings than super portraiture and we're all going to stand and look a certain direction. Same thing goes with brand shoots. You know this firsthand is we're going to go out and we are going to explore the world together. And I'm going to shoot you in your environment. And that is where photojournalism comes in. If you take a scroll through Instagram, Facebook, any other social media platforms, you're going to see product photography in a whole new world now. It is not your white seamless background with a bunch of bright lights and a product in the center. You're going to see people out there with models. You're going to see the actual owners and the users of these products, right? Because testimonial shots are huge now. I've been working with a few local brands in the area where it's more of a testimonial approach. So I'm actually going out, they're lighting up like 4 or 5 of their previous clients, and I'm doing photos, I'm doing video, and we're going through and like giving testimonials. Yeah. You know, so you've got to really figure out, again, who you're speaking to, who's your target audience, what's resonating with them. Shake it up a bit.
Yes. Like you have to specifically make those photos for your audience. They're not for you. They're not for you to hang in your wall when it comes to like branding yourself and have, you know, as a big mural in your house. Like it has to be.
Like, as you can tell, I have no portraits of myself.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about like, so once we have the the photo shoot, I can't say it, brand photo shoot scheduled.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for the big day? What are some tips that you can give to us for making sure that we show up the way we want to?
Yeah, absolutely. I always suggest having multiple wardrobe changes, and then sharing that with your photographer prior to your shoot is huge. For my clients, I ask them to send me photos. If they're standing in the dressing room and they're like, Heather, am I wearing pink or am I wearing green? What are we doing? I forget what colors we're going. Send it to them. If you have, hopefully you have a relationship with your photographer that, again, is more on a friendship level. And I'm not saying that obviously it's still business, but
yeah, you don't have to be your best friend, but
yeah, right. Like, still stay respectful in the business world. But again, my clients will reach out and say, hey, I don't know what to wear. So that, again, like step one, there's always a storyboard in my vision is a storyboard of how we're creating this. So I want to see what you're wearing. I want to see what the products look like next to those colors. I will often say, hey, get your wardrobe, lay it out on your bed, take a photo of it, and let me help you pick the pieces that we're going to work with. If you don't have a photographer that's willing to do that or has the time to do that, bring all of the things that you want to wear there. Yes. And lay them all out, and the photographer will say, okay, this color, that color, and realize basically what your surroundings are to be able to help pick up those color pieces. I also highly recommend no stripes, no busy patterns. The shoot isn't, unless you're a clothing designer or unless you're selling clothing or fashion, you want you to shine. You don't want your clothes to stand out, and you don't want your clothes to be the center of attention, right? So stay away from busy patterns. Bright colors are okay, but remember what season you're in, and remember what your Instagram feed or your Facebook feed, remember what your overall vision and your goal is for your brand, and your brand voice includes your color. So if you tell me that your colors are, blush and navy, and you show up wearing like orange and yellow, I'm gonna look at you and say, you're so far off brand, baby. Like you and I have to sit down for like another 2 hours to discuss your brand.
We're going shopping first.
We need to go shopping, boo-boo. So remember your brand's colors and stick to that. You want that cohesive look and that vibe in your photos. And then wear what's comfortable, because 9 times out of 10, those shoots are going to go for an hour and a half to 2 hours. We went a little bit longer with yours. But that's how typically they're going to go. And you want to be comfortable. You don't want to be tugging. You don't want to be pulling. You don't want to feel like, oh, I got to pull it. I got to suck it in. And be you. You're gorgeous. Own that. And this is coming from the heart. I know how hard it is to be in front of a camera. I've been photographed a ton of times. If you could only imagine when you're a photographer and your friends that are photographers, what do we do? And we want to get creative. We use each other, right? So I know what it feels like to sit in front of a camera, and you start worrying, like, is my hair right? Is my makeup right? Am I standing up tall? Am I sucking it in? And have I gained too much weight? Have I lost too much weight? These start running. Mm-hmm. And so what I have suggested, and I've just recently started to do this actually with all of my clients, even my brides and my grooms, they tell them to sit down and write down all your worries and then leave them on that piece of paper, and don't bring them to your shoot. Don't worry about, am I skinny enough? Don't worry about, have I lost too much weight? Don't worry about, does my hair look perfect? You are perfect. You are gorgeous. Own that. Right? Own that. Be positive in that. Take a step back and say, this is my business. This is who I'm showing. I'm proud. Scream it out loud. Like, I don't care if you're at your shoot, girl. Yell it out loud. Like, I am proud to be who I am, and then own it and run with it. Because 9 times out of 10, we take a photo and then we sit back and we're so afraid to show it. Just put it out there. You will be absolutely blown away by your followers and how much love they give you on those photos that you may sit back and be like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Am I ready to go that hard yet? Like, are people ready to see who I am? Yes, they are. They're absolutely ready to see who you are. Make that personal connection with people.
Yes, I love that. So
yeah, and I think besides that, like preparing for your shoot, I always highly recommend getting your hair and your makeup done for females that are watching. And I know that there's costs that go into that. Some people may be running on a bit more of a tighter budget, which I absolutely respect. I'm a budget girl, so I get you. But make sure that you feel and look the best. If you're not a huge makeup wearer, I'm going to still suggest that you put a little bit of makeup on. It goes a long way in a photo. When you're out, especially if you're doing an on-location shoot, when you're out there, the sun's gonna be bright. It reflects off of the ground that you're on. So you really really want to make sure that you have the right makeup in there, and you're contouring a bit more than what you would normally do. It's not going to show up in your photos like a dramatic look. It's just going to make it look like you actually have features. And I know this goes to say for a lot of females who don't wear makeup. So I have obviously seen a ton of them. Most of the time it's my brides who are getting all dolled up on their big day, and they're like, the makeup artist comes at them with like a contour brush, and they're like, whoa, what is that? What is that? Don't put that on me, you know. And then makeup artists will tend to look at me and be like, Heather, like, give her a little 411 information. And really my biggest thing is a little bit of contour goes a long way. Making sure that you have your cheekbones, making sure that you have your lips. You don't have to go over and above, but make sure that your features do stand out. And you can always apply more, and do some test shots with your photographer when you arrive on scene. Make sure you're taking a few photos, have them show you the back of the camera. Okay, that's another big, huge tip. If you're starting to get a little bit worried, ask to see the back of the camera. There are some photographers out there that may cringe when they hear me say that, but I always show my clients the back of the camera. I want you guys to get excited about what we're taking. I want you to connect with those images too, because this is obviously your brand. It's not my brand, it's yours. So being able to see what that looks like and what you look like on camera is pretty important.
Yeah, and I know, like, when we did our photo shoot, just having a chance to look through your lens, because you can kind of start to have like, okay, do I look like I have a fake smile, or is it a real smile? Is it natural? Like, what do I need to be doing different? So I love that piece where you show me and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Like, okay, I know how.
Well, yeah, I would set her up. We went to a local restaurant area. They have this beautiful outdoor area. And I'm like, hey, we're gonna put your computer down here. We're gonna have you looking like you're doing some business work. And she's like, are you serious, Heather? Like, what are we doing? But I've seen those pop up on your Instagram feed, so clearly they work.
I totally use that.
Sometimes just kind of trust the vision of your photographer. Again, make sure you have those conversations, being able to take, a half an hour with them prior to the day of shoot and go over the types of images that you're looking for your Instagram. I always look at my clients' websites. I look at their social media profiles, because I want to kind of see what vibe they're giving off already. That way I can enhance it, or in some cases completely pull them away from that and get them into a new groove. But really just being able to sit down and like go over all of that's pretty important.
Yeah. And I love once you get the photos back, like you can kind of start showing them in different lights. Like, I love that you can use them at different times, and it's kind of like in a day in the life of, like, it's like showing you in your natural atmosphere. Cause I think so many times we get used to taking selfies or having a friend
take a selfie down, girl. I swear I'm going to have a movement of like, and I'm the selfie queen. I'm going to have a movement of like, no more selfies, because I'm kind of over it. Selfies are okay. I would tend to say keep those to your Instagram stories if you're going to do a lot of selfies. But I do them too. So they're in my Instagram feed too. Just make sure they're bright enough and they're not like obvious selfies, right? Like,
yeah. When they, I look at mine sometimes and I'm like, it's obviously a selfie, which is fine. Like, it is what it is. But sometimes you're like, it's a little too much selfie-like. Or the people that do like a selfie.
Look at my Instagram feed. Yeah, go look at my Instagram feed. You'll see some selfie fun there. But and then another huge thing: drink plenty of water. Make sure that you eat. A lot of my clients will come to me and they're like, I haven't eaten all day, and I'm like, here's a power bar, because like, boo, you need to eat. Like, don't be crazy. Do not bring a bunch of people with you. That is another thing. It's really hard to connect with my clients if we've got an entire entourage. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I understand we all have busy lives. Some of us are mom. I'm a single mom, so I know what it's like. But leave your kids at home. Don't bring your kids to your shoot. Even your spouses can actually cause us to be a little bit on edge sometimes, especially in front of a camera. Unless there's a security issue, like you're kind of worried about, okay, where are we going? Like, maybe I need to bring them along. And I'm not saying for your photographer, I'm saying maybe your locations sketch, like you're going into the city at night. I mean, I don't know. But if you're going to bring people with you, make sure that they're kind of a bit more behind the scenes. Drink plenty of water, lots of water the night before, and actually get rest. And this is coming from the girl who's been on like 4 hours of sleep for the last like 3 weeks. I get like 4 hours of sleep at night right now. But know your body, know know what you can handle. Try not to schedule anything the day prior. That way, you know, the day of your shoot, you're kind of more on a relaxed state. Do all of your shopping a week prior. So if you're doing some wardrobe stuff, make sure you do that at least a week prior. That way you can send that information, send the photos over to your photographer, and you can actually, you know, send those photos, have conversation about it, try the stuff on, make sure it fits well. I've had plenty of clients years past that they would show up the day of and they had just gone shopping an hour prior and nothing fit. And so remember, you're on the clock with your photographer. So when time starts with us, time starts, and that's typically how our contracts go. So make sure that you have all of your stuff prepared and ready to go.
Yeah, and I think one of the best tips that I love that you gave me was, I was asking you kind of some of those questions like, how do I prepare the night before? And you told me to take a hot bath.
Yeah.
So I remember the night before, I got the kids to bed, my husband had gone to bed, and I went and took a hot bath, and I just kind of relaxed my body, and I thought about different poses I might like to do, or how, like, I practice smiling in the mirror, which sounds totally cheesy, but like,
do it, girl.
really
Own that. Absolutely. I have a full-length mirror. No lie. Okay, guys, I have a full-length mirror. I do a lot of live teachings and a lot of education on Facebook Lives. So there's a lot of times where I'm right here, right in front of a camera. So I'm like, hey, what's my best side? Like, is this better for lighting? Is this like, where are we going with this? Like, it's okay. Like, own that. Turn on some music like the night before too, and like jam around your bedroom. Like, just start dancing and get the blood flowing, right? Like, some of us get so stagnant and we're working so hard and we are hustling so strong that sometimes we forget, like, moving our body helps us. So emotionally, mentally, physically, get all of that in tune before your shoot. Because let me tell you something. You come to a shoot, I don't care who you are, you're holding stress, that camera's going to show it.
Oh yeah.
100%. And don't ever be afraid to tell your photographer, you know what, I'm kind of stressed out right now. Because I'll take an extra half an hour with you to bring it down a notch, baby. Like, let's get you down a notch, because I want your shoot to be a direct reflection of who you are. And the stressed person is probably not who you are. You're probably just worried about things. It's why I take the exercises of take a warm bath, write down your worries and your fears on a piece of paper and leave it there. Don't bring it with you to your shoot. The being transparent is sometimes hard for people. So when I say, like, hey, tell your photographer you're stressed out, some people may freak them out, but being transparent, in that engagement is really going to show in your photos too.
Yeah. And I love that you have them write those worries down, because I'm a huge journaler.
Perfect.
And it's the perfect spot to, like, put all your thoughts and, like, let them go. Just get them on paper, get them out of your mind, clear your mind of them. So I love that you have your clients do that too. Well, as we kind of start to wrap up this interview, I would love to hear, like, if we were to take away one big, huge nugget from today's conversation, what do you think is, like, that one takeaway that you want us to walk away with?
I would say remember who your target audience is, remember your brand voice, and really don't be afraid to be personal. There was a big trend, probably like last year and the year before on Instagram, where the feed was basically sell, right? Push that product out there, get it in front of their faces. But I'm going to tell you, and mark my word, the future is personal, okay? The future is personal. People want to know who you are. They want to see some behind the scenes of who you are. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. So whether it's a stylized shoot that you're working with a photographer on, a brand new product shoots that you're working on, remember to make as much of it as personal as you can. If somebody can't connect with you personally, they're not connecting with you or your brand, and you're not selling anything. And I think that's one area. If you can take anything away from any of these, is while you're listening to all of these amazing women speak, remember what's going to make it personal. How can I put my personal touch, my personal spin on this, and run with it? Try it out. Don't be afraid. Like I said, I'm a wine girl. Like, I love drinking wine. We live in Temecula Valley. Like, I think I live in wine country. I have no problem telling my clients, like, let's go grab a glass of wine. And showing that's who you are. I also have 2 dogs and I'm a single mom. I talk about those things because also my clients, those are who I connect with. So remember who you connect with too, right? So just because you're selling a specific product, or you know, whatever it is that your business is, whatever your industry is, remember who's buying it. Remember who those people are, right?
Yeah.
And that's how you're going to connect with them. So we attract, by nature, we attract people. The types of people in our life are going to be kind of like us. So if you can remember that, remember who you are, you're going to attract those kinds of people to your business. And in fairness, that's how you get friends. So that's how I, you know, turned my business, you know, more personable, more friendly. And it doesn't have to always be while you're selling a product, while you're, you know, selling your business, you're selling your brand. You're also selling who you are. So again, just please keep it personal. I want to scroll through everybody's Instagram and I want to know who you are. Like, I want to know who the girl is behind the scenes, drinking her her coffee, going to Starbucks with her girlfriends, whatever you are. Remember to show that side of who you are too.
Yeah, because think of the people that you follow and why you follow them. Like, I can think about the people that I like to check their Instagram feed, and it's because I relate to them. I feel like we're friends. We're not even friends. Like, I don't know you. Well, I know you, but like, there's certain people
I'm like, wait a minute.
I don't know, but I feel like they could call me and say, hey, I'm in town. Let's go grab a glass of wine. And I feel like I already know them, and it would be a perfect blend of friendship.
Yeah. And that's another thing you just touched on is checking out the companies and the businesses, the brands, the people that you love and that you follow. Find out what they're doing.
And do that. You know, and that's not stealing. It's market research.
No, it is market research, and I think and this may be an old school approach to it. I don't know. It's still working for me, so it's still working. But my thought, market research is huge. Knowing again who you're selling to, what your vibe is, looking at all of those different people. Here's another key thing to remember. Go look and follow people that are not in your industry and see what they're doing. Because the one way, and I know you have people that are talking about marketing and all of that, and so I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I do want to push out is one awesome, easy way to kind of shake up the competition is by pulling in some things that aren't being done already in your industry. So by that, I'm saying, like, go check out a real estate agent. You may not be a real estate agent. You may be doing fashion, but go see what they're doing. Go see what's popping over in the real estate industry. You may not be a fashion blogger. You may be selling an actual product. Go check out what the fashion bloggers are doing.
And I love that you said that too, because I tell my clients the exact same thing. Like, you don't want to follow somebody who does specifically what you do, because then you run the chance of looking a lot like them because you're trying to mirror what they're doing. But if you're watching somebody in a totally different industry and you're able to kind of see what they're doing, you're able to pull pieces of that and make it unique in your industry. Yep. So that, because I've had that happen to myself before. Even, like, I followed other brand coaches to see, oh, how are they marketing? Who are they showing up for? What are they saying? Yeah. And all of a sudden, like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, I'm comparing myself constantly to this other person that's in my industry because they have more likes or more followers. And it was the worst idea ever. Like, so once I went outside of that industry, it's been so much easier just to show up as myself and to stand out as me, not worrying about trying to be somebody else or emulate what they're doing. And show, and like you just said, and I'll hit that hard, is show up. Yes. Just show up. Show up every day, show up authentically, show up in your organic space, be transparent, and don't be afraid to just put it out there and test it. Nothing is hard set in stone when it comes to social media. Put it out there, try it. If your followers resonate with it and you're getting a lot of engagement, keep doing it. If you're not, right? If you're not, shake it up, throw it out there again and see what goes. I think sometimes, especially as creatives, you know, I'm in the creative environment a majority of my life and my days. In the creative world, there's a lot of people that get so worried and so afraid of how everybody else is going to think. And again, that comparison thing is a killer. Comparing yourselves to others, regardless of what industry they're in, if they're your direct competitor, comparing yourselves to anybody else is literally going to kill who you are as a person. There's that saying where a flower never compares themselves to another flower, they just bloom.
So just bloom, get out there and show up. Don't be afraid to do it. Put yourself out there. I know those are some very scary big words, but showing up and just doing it. There's 9 times out of 10, I hear clients tell me, I got this video together and I think I'm going to do it. And like a month later, I still haven't seen it. And so I'll ping them and I'll say, hey, you remember that video that you were going to post up? I haven't seen it yet. What's going on with it? Oh, well, I'm still editing it. You know what? Put it out there.
Just put it out there in the world. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. Like, good enough.
Yeah, and there's a web designer who, it was on Instagram stories. I am not going to call her name out, but I loved her freaking response to me. She had a misspelling in a Instagram story just page up that she was putting some stuff. I was around the holidays and I know her more on a personal level. And so I actually reached out to her and I said, hey babe, there's a misspelling. I just wanted to let you know of it in case you wanted to fix it. You know what? Her response was freaking golden. She says to me, she's like, girl, I'm in the car with the 2 babies screaming right now. I got that up. They get the gist. She's like, and it's done. And I am not going back to it. And I'm like, you know what? And it did. It made me take a step back and go, yeah, boo.
It doesn't have to be perfect though. And I think a lot of us get caught up in wanting it to be perfect, picture perfect. But that's not life. That's not real.
It's not life. And you know what? It showed me her transparency. It showed me that, just like you and I, that girl is a real person. She's got real stuff going on in her life. She got 2 babies screaming in the backseat of her car. Like,
that's reality. That's life.
That's reality. And, she came on later on in her Instagram story and she just made fun of it and was like, I'm just gonna roll with this. And so she was like, hey guys, there's like a misspelling. Don't worry. I already caught it.
I have a misspelling occasionally though. Like,
right.
I think everybody's done it at some point. Like I've read through something I posted and I'm like, oh, I totally flipped those 2 letters or I forgot a letter or whatnot. It happens. It's okay. We're human.
Yeah. And we're all kind of going 90 miles an hour as entrepreneurs and business owners ourselves. And maybe you're a mom, you're a single mom, maybe you've got 2 jobs, whatever the case may be. I get it. It's hard. The only area that I would say is try to slow down as much as you can. If you have a friend who is awesome at proofreading, maybe get a friend to proofread it. And schedule out your posts will also help. Now I know Instagram stories is totally different. When I go live on Instagram, it's kind of off the cuff and it is what it is. And let's hope it's great. But if you can, right. Yeah, exactly. And it's gone. If you can schedule out your posts as much as you can, that'll help you kind of see some of those errors too. And it may help. So it's something that I've done for my own personal business. Before I was, kind of just posting on the fly, whenever I could, whenever I had time. Scheduling out your posts are huge. That'll be another thing that I would love to talk about is how to schedule out all of that kinds of stuff. But remember that when you're doing your shoots, remember about the posts that you want to do, for the next couple of months. Having a vision on what those posts are going to be. That way you can capture some of those images during your brand session, your headshot session. You can use those images. So if you come to your photographer with some a bit of a strategy for the next month or so, depending on how often you're scheduling your shoots for, they'll be able to capture some of those photos for you to be able to use.
Perfect.
Little nugget at the end.
Taking your time, Heather, and sharing so many of these tips. I know everyone's able to utilize them and implement them in their business, and they're going to want to go schedule their brand photo shoot immediately. If you don't have one, Heather's your girl. If you're not local, reach out, definitely interview, and make sure you find the right person for you that's going to be able to show authentically who you are.
Absolutely.
But Heather, tell us how can people follow you and find you? Where do you hang out the most?
I am everywhere, like we all are, right? So I am on Instagram, Heather J. Keys, and same for Facebook. It's Heather J. Keys Photography on Facebook. But yeah, and my website is heatherjkeys.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Heather, for being on with us.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Reach out to me if you have questions too. I love helping as much as I possibly can. So you can slide me over a DM if you've got questions about anything that we touch bases here too.
Perfect.
Bye guys.